This is the first episode of our Mom Bod Series. There are such few photos that I have of me with my child is because I always felt like I don't look good enough to be photographed with my child. I started thinking about these strong arms have served me so well. Why am I constantly criticizing them for how they look? Most of us, when we have body image issues, they did not stem from pregnancy. They started in our childhood. Somebody commenting about our weight, our height, our face, our hair, our skin color. If you think about a body transformation as a weight loss journey, you will find it very hard to keep up with it. When you start viewing the transformation as a lifestyle change, you will start to see a slower but much more long-term sustainable impact.
Hey parents, welcome to another episode of the Modern Indian Parent Podcast, a podcast that is redefining parenting in Indian families. I'm Ankita Sahni, a pediatric nutritionist.
I'm Rini Gupta, a pediatric sleep consultant, and we release new episodes every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So be sure to subscribe and follow on the platform of your choice. If you're a first-time listener, I just want to give you a big welcome. And if you have been here before, I'm so glad to have you back here. The reason this is a great episode to start with is because this is the first episode of our Mom Bod Series, where we are celebrating the incredible bodies after giving birth and learning how to get even healthier, fitter, and even more beautiful, if that's even possible. And in this first episode of the Mom Bod series, we're going to talk about how is it that we can learn to love our bodies more and not criticize it constantly. We're going to talk about practical strategies, what you can implement in your everyday life to reframe how you think about your body and actually feel good in it.
In the second episode, we will be joined by Ankita, who is the founder of Mama Be Fit, and we are going to be talking all about postpartum and how we can regain that confidence and our bodies after giving birth.
In the third episode, we have Dr. Chandni Sehgal, who's a gynecologist, who'll be talking to us all about the hair and skin issues that we face, everything from stretch marks to hair fall, and how we can combat those and start to feel more beautiful again. And in the last episode, we have invited a world-renowned fitness and fat loss coach to talk about how we can actually start to regain strength, lose fat, gain muscle to be the best versions of ourselves yet. But all these 4 episodes together, they are meant to guide you, to help you feel better, and to have some direction in terms of how you can start to go through that journey to make sure that you are getting to the place where you want to be in terms of your body. So we can't wait to get started with this week's conversation. And this week's conversation, I'll tell you, when it comes to body acceptance, is so personal to me, is because I have struggled with body acceptance ever since I was a child, right? This is not something that just came up when I got pregnant and I gave birth, but even when I was a child, I struggled with it in terms of being overweight. And what happened during pregnancy is that it just catapulted it to a whole different level, and it just hit my self-confidence to a whole different degree. To the point, now when I go back and look at the pictures and videos that I have of my child from the first 6 months, I realize that I'm not in any of them. Or there are such few photos that I have of me with my child is because I always felt like I don't look good enough to be photographed with my child. I don't look good enough to be in that video, and I don't want to look at that video because I feel like, oh my God, like I'm so chubby, and look at my tummy and look at my dark circles and look at my unkempt hair. I just hated getting into the videos. And now I massively regret that because I don't have much of these memories from that period, right? And I feel as women, all of us, we are just constantly picking ourselves apart. We are like micro-analyzing every feature that we have, everything from the cellulite on our thighs to, I don't know, the bulge of our armpits or something to do with our skin. We're always analyzing and criticizing all of that. And truly, what I want to help you achieve from this episode is more of that self-love and self-acceptance that I have worked very, very hard to get. And I just want to share more in terms of what you can do to also get there. Sanchita, how was your experience when it came to all these body changes postpartum, and how did that impact you?
I think a lot of it stems to our childhood. From the time I was young, I was very skinny. So, because I was skinny, I never took the time to understand about nutrition. So, I would just eat whatever. And then I actually got quite addicted to processed foods, packaged foods. And especially when you're a girl and you're going through all these things, food kind of becomes your go to. And then I had my kids. And during pregnancy, I actually lost weight. So, for me, instead of being like, let me nourish my kids, I was like, oh, yay, I can order a pizza. I can do this because I'm not gaining weight. So for me, it was really more about my relationship with food. And I really, really struggle with that even today. And I feel that the reason that I am a child nutritionist comes from my own experience, because I don't want my kids to abuse their body in terms of, eating whatever. And also learn about food is, yes, for enjoyment, but it's also for nourishment. So even I see so many people who are skinny, struggling in their own way.
I think when it comes to body struggles, often we're always talking about the outside. We just look at the size outside and we determine if it's problematic or not based on that. But there are so many people who are skinny but are living a very unhealthy lifestyle, and they are unhealthy on the inside, and that is where I feel with the Mom Bod series, you're going to learn so much about how to work and improve yourself in both ways, right? So that you are not only feeling stronger and fitter on the outside, but also on the inside, right? I think one of the reasons why it's such a struggle to accept your body during pregnancy and after pregnancy is because we live in this highly, I would say, it's almost like an ironic society. The irony is that it's the same society that is constantly telling pregnant women to eat more laddus, eat more nuts, eat more dates, drink more milk, eat more ghee. And they have all these reasons behind them to get the child to be very well nourished. And of course, in this period, because the mother is probably eating so many of these things, she's gaining a massive amount of weight. And the irony really kicks in is because as soon as the baby is delivered, then the bounce back expectations come in. Because this is something I have been through myself. I remember being on a video call with my entire family. And when I say family, I don't mean 5 people. There were 17 people on the call. And an aunt of mine called me out when I was 6 months postpartum. They're like, hey, Rini, when are you planning to lose all this baby weight of yours? It was such a shocking experience for me, where I was already feeling I'm quite bad about my body and how it's going. And then I have this person in my family who is calling me out on it in front of everybody. And the thing is, these are not isolated experiences. I feel anytime a mom after giving birth has gone out to meet anybody, the first comment she's going to get is about her weight. Like, oh, you've gotten so big, or you haven't lost the weight yet. And that just makes this journey of self-acceptance even harder, especially in the Indian society, where talking about weight is a conversation starter. And I will never understand why. I listen to podcasts about body image and I do my own research just to understand why is it that we are so critical of our bodies as women. And one thing that really struck me was that our mums and our grandmoms who had, especially our grandmoms, they had 6, 7 kids. Our moms maybe had 2 or 3. We are having 1 kid. Why is it that they were not that bothered by their pregnancy weight gain, weight loss? But we are just so consumed by how much our body is changing and how much our face is changing during this period. And the reason for this is because we live in this world where we are constantly seeing ourselves. And you'll be like, of course we're seeing ourselves all the time, but didn't they? It's very different. Our mums and grandmoms, we used to have 2 mirrors in the entire house. They would probably see themselves in the mirror when they're getting ready in the morning, maybe once when they pass by. And that's the only time they saw themselves, right? But for us, we are constantly taking selfies. We're on Zoom meetings, creating content, FaceTiming. Literally, the buildings nowadays are covered in mirrors. So even when you walk by a building, you could be seeing yourself. I feel everywhere we are surrounded by surfaces or devices in which we are looking at ourselves. And the psychologist whose podcast I was listening to, what she said was that this is very unnatural. Seeing yourself outside of your body so constantly is very unnatural, because the way we have developed and the way we are wired is to look at other people and judge other people. And what I mean by judgment is that, let's say evolutionarily, We want to be able to see another person and judge their size, their emotions, their gestures, to be able to decide whether I need to stay or flee. It can be a survival mechanism. Or in terms of how to connect with that person, we are like analyzing every part of them. Now, what's happening is we are using those same judgment skills and analytical skills and applying it to ourselves, right? Probably like you would be in a Zoom meeting, you have probably never thought about like how your face looks like in a certain angle, and then suddenly you do. Like, don't we all have like a good side to our face? I don't think I ever thought about my good side until selfies became a thing. And I think this is what's so unnatural about it, that we are constantly picking ourselves apart. And it's really not our fault. You know, it's the society and the environment that we live in which is causing us to do that. So I think sometimes just acknowledging this, that there is nothing wrong with your body. Your body is just doing what it's doing, but it's the way the world is set up is what's causing you to have these kind of like mental health challenges with your body.
I was actually talking to this fat loss coach. Her name is Raksha, and I have to give her a shout out because she's really been helping me. And one thing she pointed out, because I told her, I was at a wedding and I was enjoying, and everyone's like, oh, you look good. And when I came back, I was looking at the videos, right? Because I was okay, I look fine. But then you look at those videos and the photos, and I was like, oh, my stomach's sticking out. Oh, I have a double chin. And, I was eating a lot on the trip. And then everyone's like, wow, you're really enjoying the food. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. But it's like when you go back and you start thinking in your head, you self-sabotage. For us women and moms to really work on our self-talk, our inner healing, and also listening to our feminine side. Because I have been doing diets. Like, I was on a diet every other month, like trying different things. And I realized, why am I going for all these diets? I need to take a step back and listen, what does my body need? What is my body asking for? And can I tell you, Rini, when I started listening to that, I lost 1.5 kgs.
I think that's really what it comes down to, right? Like in this episode, let's say, or in this series, we are not saying that like you have to change something about your body. If you want to do that, please go ahead and do that, right? Like, because it's also important for you to feel good about your body as well. But a lot of work is internal. And I think this is what this episode is really about. And I do want to share some really like purposeful strategies that have worked for me in the last 4 years at this point. I gave birth 4 years ago. And just to kind of give context, right? So I'm 5'7". All right. And before I gave birth, I was like 64 kgs, which isn't considered very skinny. I used to think that I'm fat even back then. But now when I look at my pictures, I'm just like, man, I looked good. But during pregnancy, I gained 25 kgs. I was 89 kgs at the time of birth. Yes. And it is all because, I was getting panjiri sent from India, and I was in COVID lockdown, and I'm eating. Even though I was working till my 37th week, the amount of weight I gained was insane because of not knowing about the proper like diet and nutrition practices that I should be following in my pregnancy. Now, what happened is after that, I realized that like, oh my God, I'm far too heavy. It's starting to affect my body. My knees are hurting. My back is hurting. I don't feel as active as I should be, right? And that's when I realized that like, okay, I need to do something about it, right? So while I was doing that work on my body, I also had to do this internal work to accept myself in whatever stage I'm at. I can't wait, a few years to feel happy with my body, because then I'm not going to spend these years feeling miserable. And that's exactly what I want to tell these moms about, that if you are in a stage where, whatever stage you're at, if you're feeling miserable about your body, if you're feeling sad, you don't want to get into pictures, you don't want to smile for photos, you don't want to get into videos with your kid, you don't want to go to the beach and wear a cute outfit. If you're avoiding these things because you feel like your body is not good enough, this episode you're gonna love this, all right? And the first thing that I started focusing on to make myself feel better is that when I looked at a part of my body, instead of focusing on how it looked, I started focusing on what it does to make myself feel good about it. For example, I have historically had flabby arms, and I'm very open about it. And I think whenever I looked at my arms, I used to avoid wearing sleeveless tops or spaghetti tank tops. I avoided dancing because I was like, oh my God, that's going to show my arm flabs too much. And that was used to pull me down because I was constantly focusing on how it looked. I reframed my thoughts to think about what it does for me. My arms allow me to carry my baby and throw her up in the air, and that makes her so happy. My arms allow me to carry like heavy shopping bags when I go out, like grocery shopping for my family. My arms allow me to create a great meal for my family. My arms allow me to do and create like awesome sleep plans for my clients. Like I started thinking about like these strong arms have served me so well. Why am I constantly criticizing them for how they look? And you can literally apply this to any part of your body that you are hyper focused on, that you feel is not good enough. It could be your chin, it could be your cheeks, it could be your thighs, it could be your any part of your body where you feel like it's not good enough. Think about what it does for you instead of how it looks, and keep reminding yourself of that, and you will see that the perception will change. Again, I'm not saying that if you wanted to be fitter, stronger, you shouldn't do anything about it. I am still doing bicep curls and tricep curls and all of those things because I want it to be stronger. But that's because I want it to be even more functional than it is right now. I want to be able to lift even heavier. I want to be able to even do more things with my arms, and it's not just about how it looks. So I hope this is the first thing that you will really think about. If you can even pause this episode for a moment right now, pause it and think about what is a part of your body that you are not happy with, and then reframe your mindset to what does it do for me instead of how it looks. So Ankita, if you were to take this advice, how would you apply it? Like what's a part of you that you feel like you're not that happy with, and what would you reframe it to instead?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say maybe like my legs, my thighs. And for a whole year, I didn't even wear shorts because I didn't want to show my legs. And then I said, so two things. One is I said that, you know what, these legs, they allow me to move, they allow me to run after my kids. It's giving me that strength to get about my day. And the second thing I also did, as you said, is I said, you know what, I'm going to start working out so that I don't need to have skinny legs, but I want toned, strong legs. And I started doing that. And now my friends say, wow, you are wearing shorts all the time and it looks really good. So it's all about energy. So it's about giving that love to your body and then at the same time taking care of it. So doing that now, I'm like always wearing shorts and everyone's like, oh, wow, you're like, it looks good. So obviously we don't need to look for the external validation, but it's just showing you that that journey can be very positive. And I see that energy in how you talk to yourself. It's almost like your body's listening to it, right? It's listening to you and everything. So it really makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And I think that actually brings me to my second point, where it's about the self talk as well. And this is something that I've noticed even, let's say, in my mom's generation and in our generation, is that we are verbally criticizing ourselves all the time. You know, whether it's in a public setting or it's in front of a mirror, it could be to your partner. You're like, oh, my stomach has gotten so big, or look at me, like I'm looking like this, or this looks so loose, and this, look at my. And I feel when you put like these words, these very negative words, to whatever feeling you were having, it suddenly makes it a lot more concrete, right? And to the point that it starts to, like, like when you say something, you really start to believe it. And this is what I feel happens for a lot of us, where we talk about our bodies so negatively that we whole and soul believe that that is just what it is, right? And I feel one very important thing that I stopped doing ever since I gave birth and was talking badly about my own body. And one of my biggest motivations for doing that was because I never wanted to let my daughter hear me talk badly about my body, because I never wanted her to do that to herself, right? All of us have grown up in families, especially with Indian families. They don't pass an opportunity to criticize your body, whether it's your skin color, whether it's your shape of your nose or your height or your weight. You're too skinny, you're too fat, your hair is too long, too short. Like, I feel like they will find something to criticize you, and that becomes your self-talk. That becomes your inner voice. And as a girl, I have gone through this a lot, and I knew that I do not want my daughter to go through that. So not only do I stop anybody else around her to comment on her body, I myself don't comment on my own body, so that she doesn't pick up on those behaviors. And I feel it has helped me because I feel better about my own body, because I don't call myself fat. I don't call myself chubby. I don't call myself overweight. I don't say these words to me because I don't want my own mind to believe it. And I would actually go a step further and say that I know that a lot of times we are receiving these kind of like poor commentary about our bodies from like others, but sometimes you could also be the one giving this. commentary to other people without even realizing. Maybe you don't have malintentions, but what it kind of like is subconsciously doing to that person is that it's chipping away at their self-worth. So what I would tell to all women listening to this episode is, if it's a comment about somebody's body, don't say anything unless it's positive. If you want to call somebody like, you look amazing, like you look great, or like that dress looks amazing on you, or your skin is glowing, if you want to say things like that to yourself or to others, say it. But if there is anything that is considered even a shade of negative, don't say it out loud. Trust me, it doesn't need to be said out loud, not to yourself, not to anybody else. And this second thing will really help you accept your body more. And if you surround yourself with people who kind of follow the same thing, like you just let everybody know that, hey guys, I don't appreciate anybody commenting on my body, and your friends and your family are cognizant of that, that is also going to help your mental health and your acceptance for your body a lot. So do you think, Sanjita, did you face these kind of commentary as well from your family members? Maybe not for being overweight, but for being too skinny?
I did get it a lot when I was skinny. I used to be called a stick and like a mop because I was so skinny. Even now, my daughter, a lot of people say, oh, you're really skinny, or you're so light. So she kind of like takes a look, because a lot of her friends and stuff you can easily compare, right? Like the weight is different. So I just tell her, I say, you know what? Everyone's body is different, and everyone's body needs different things to support their life. And your body is so strong. Look at you. Look at how you're jumping. So the focus is not about skinny fat. Like there are a lot of kids who are also fat. So then I try and teach my kids that no, their body just needs that extra muscle to help them do the things. Everyone's body needs different things. So it's really about changing the words we use and the terms we use as well.
I like that how you're describing the way you ask your, or kind of like teach your baby to accept her body more, because there's only so much you can shield them from all these comments coming from everybody, right? Maybe at a younger age it's easier, but as they grow older, they meet so many people. You are teaching them to focus on function over appearance, which goes back to the first point, right? And this applies to both children and adults. Focus on that function of your body than the appearance, and automatically the way you feel about your body will totally change. And there's one more like feature of, like, I feel this is something that I struggled with a lot, was stretch marks. So that's a third thing that I want to tell moms about, is that stretch marks are things that can really impact the way you look at your body, because you may have been many different sizes before, but stretch marks is something, especially around the abdomen, is the first time you will experience this during pregnancy. And it's not even that like every woman gets stretch marks, especially now when you look at like social media and you see all these beautiful pregnancy shoots, from like celebrity pregnancy shoots to just like people around you, and none of them have any stretch marks on their belly. It makes you question your own. And you know what? It's because of this I never even got a pre-pregnancy photo shoot done, even though that was on my list for the longest time. I knew that when I get pregnant, I'm going to get a pregnancy photo shoot done. I wanted to get really cute bump photos. But because I became so self-conscious of my stretch marks, and I had so many of them, that I never got a photo shoot done. And I missed out on that entire experience because I just wasn't comfortable with my body. And I really do regret it. Like, I wish I had nice pictures, even if they had stretch marks on them. So I think one thing that I do want to tell moms, that something that helped me eventually come to terms with our stretch marks, and this was, I think, one of the very long journeys that I had to go through, was firstly accepting that it's not my fault. It's not that I didn't moisturize enough or didn't get the right products, or did I do something to my belly that caused that level of stretch marks to happen. The thing with stretch marks is that most of them are genetic. Sure, it depends on the products, it depends on the degree of weight gain and all of those things as well. But genetics plays the most important role. And you can't blame your genetics, can you? And I think just coming to terms with that helped me, that like, it's not my fault. And the second thing that I did was relabeling and reframing my thoughts around stretch marks. And I started calling them my tiger stripes. The very moment I started calling my stretch marks tiger stripes, it just gave it a whole new meaning. Because when you think of a tiger, right, or a tigress in this situation, you think of somebody who is strong, powerful, can defend their family. And I feel like when I think about my stretch marks in that light, especially when they were still dark and red in the early, like first year or so, it just made me feel strong, because I felt like I had earned those stripes. Pregnancy and childbirth is physically very taxing. And I went through that and I actually earned those stripes. I used to completely avoid wearing crop tops in like the first 6 months or so because it was so hard to see myself and see those red marks visible all over my tummy. But eventually I came to a point where like, I'm gonna wear a crop top. So what if my stretch marks are visible? Because these are my tiger stripes. If you're especially struggling with stretch marks, whether it's on your tummy, whether it's on your thighs, whether it's on your armpits, wherever it is, and it has happened because of pregnancy, always think of it, these are my tiger stripes and I have earned them. And you will start feeling so much better about this like almost inevitable change in your body. Did you get any stretch marks, Ankita, or are you one of the lucky ones who just don't have any?
No, I have so many. And even before I got pregnant, I had stretch marks. So I have stretch marks all like in the back, like literally everywhere. So I wouldn't even wear swimsuits for the longest time. Like I'd wear the swimsuit with the skirt or shorts. And actually only until the last 2 years, I was like, you know what? I can't do anything about it. It's not going to go. And I'm like, I'm just going to own it now. Like, cause I just went and I'm from the Caribbean, right? So we're always wearing our swimsuits when we're back home. So like the last 2 summers I went back, I said, I don't care. Let people look at me and say what it is. And I actually just wear a swimsuit and I just own it. And it was so funny because when we were there, you see a lot of like Dutch people because it's a Dutch island. And those women are literally wearing like nothing, right? And my daughter asked me, she's like, how come they're like wearing swimsuits which are pretty much showing their whole body? And I just told her, I said, they're very proud of their body and they're owning it. And my husband's like, listen, we don't give ideas that she can just, wear a skimpy bikini. But I was like, that's not the point. Like when I look at those people, I'm always like, wow, look at them. They're owning it. And not all of them were skinny. Not all of them, had, clear skin. And I always look at them and I admire the fact that they are just there and they are just out in the open in nature and like just wearing what they want. It's quite a empowering thing to see.
I love that. I think that's where the cultural difference makes such a big impact on how we view our bodies, is because in India, if you are anything above the ideal skinny body type, you're always asked to cover up. Wear long sleeves if you have big arms, wear long tops if you have a big tummy, wear long pants if you have like bigger legs. We're always being asked to cover up. And that inherently gives us this sense of shame that clearly something is wrong with that part of our body, which is why we are asked to cover up. But if you go abroad and you see these people, for them, it's all about like, hey, I'm on a beach, I gotta enjoy. Every body size is beautiful, right? So I think such a great point that you brought out, which again, I feel is something that we can really afford to learn. I'm not saying please go out and wear skimpy bikinis. That is your choice. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But you should have that confidence and that feeling that like, my body is good enough. My body is good enough to get into a damn swimsuit. It all goes back to self-talk. It all goes back to appreciating the function over the form and over the size. I think one more thing that has really helped me in terms of understanding how I love my body more, how should I love my body more, is viewing any changes that I want to do as my body as a lifestyle change instead of a weight loss change. And I just want to give a bit of context to this. So I told you about how I went from 64 kgs to 89 kgs. Even after birth, I think 6 months postpartum, I was still about 82, 83 kgs. It was really affecting me, like mentally, physically, I wasn't in a good space. So then I joined this fitness program, which was sort of centered around a very high caloric deficit. And of course, it had like some workouts and everything involved, but that wasn't the biggest priority in that program. And the beauty of that program was, and I'm going to put beauty in air quotes, is that I lost weight really quickly. And this is back in 2022. I was just 1 year postpartum. I lost close to like 12 kgs within a matter of 3 months. That's 4 kgs a month, which is a pretty rapid weight loss. And believe me, I was ecstatic. I was so happy with this progress because I wasn't working out, right? I didn't have to make any kind of like dietary changes. I was just eating very, very little food in that process, right? What happened after that is at the very moment I realized that this, like I'm out of my ideal setup, like every time I traveled or it was stressful situations or in the middle, my nanny had to leave. So I had to do a lot of work by myself. Everything just went off, right? And I gained back like 10 kgs in that process, right? Because what I chose was a very, very unsustainable approach. I was just losing muscle instead of losing just fat. So I was looking skinnier, but I was like a skinny fat almost. And this process, it really taught me that this is not the right way to go about any kind of body transformations. Body transformations have to come about in a way where you're making changes to your lifestyle, where you are trying to go with goals that are not timed. You don't want to be like, oh, I have to lose 10 kgs in 3 months. This is my target. And it's like a do or die target. Because when you go in with a mindset like that, you're going to tend towards crash diets or extreme workouts, something that eventually you will not be able to keep up with, and all that weight may come back. So, if you really want to go about some kind of body transformation, we have to go with a more sustainable approach, getting stronger. Like Sanchita, you mentioned, it's becoming more about strength than just about being lean. And the way I'm approaching fitness in 2025, 2023, 2024 were horrible years for me. 2025, I want to get things back on track with this mindset that now I want to make regimes out of it, eating healthier but no crash diets, eating more protein, which is something that is massively missing from the standard Indian diet. Strength training. I never dared to lift weights before this because I was always too afraid of injury. And we're going to get into a lot of it in our 4th episode as well, where I mentioned that we have invited a fat loss coach to talk about this. But these kind of changes to my diet actually have realized that like I am not losing weight very rapidly at this point. I'm probably just losing about a kg per in an entire month's time, but I'm comfortable with that. The reason for that is I know that whatever I'm doing right now, I can even do this 5 years down the road. I can even do this when I'm traveling. I can even do this even if I'm in the busiest phase of my life. This is a sustainable approach for me. And I think this is what I want to tell moms, that like if you are struggling with your body weight or the way your body looks right now, I know that you are keen to see rapid results. I know that you want to just shed that weight as fast as possible in whatever means necessary. But I just want to tell you from my experience that it will not serve you well if you go about that path. If you think about a body transformation as a weight loss journey, you will find it very hard to keep up with it. When you start viewing the transformation as a lifestyle change, that you inherently want to eat better, move more, lift and build more muscle, you will start to see a slower but much more long-term sustainable impact of that. And that is again going to help you love your body in the long run, instead of just going through these phases of like self-love and self-loathe because you're going up and down in these cycles. Try to go for a more sustainable lifestyle change, right? Sanjita, would you say that was your experience as well? Because given that you said you try like new diets every month.
So every month I would do a new diet. I remember a few years ago, all of us in Hong Kong, we went on Herbalife as well. And for us, it was like this quick fix. And we all lost like 5-6 kgs. And we actually looked good. And the thing is that when you do these crash diets, it was like, okay, we did Herbalife. So there's a lot of products. We'd have the protein shake twice a day. The meal has to be a certain way. But I just realized that it was like, okay, I lost weight so quick. And then what happened is as soon as I stopped and I went back to eating, I put it back on. And then I was like, oh, let me go back to it. But when I'd go back to it, I was just relying on the products, but I wasn't taking what I actually learned. So I'd have the protein shake, but then I'd still eat fries and junk, and I was expecting the same results. I would get a diet and I just wouldn't be able to follow it. I just had no self-control because I felt so restricted. So that's why I came back to listening to our body and what it needs. But the one thing I'll say, it's important to listen to your body, but also it's okay to ask for help. And it is very important for us as women to accept it. So many of my friends say we are busy with our kids, but we don't have time to get a nutritionist, to get a coach. It's important to have these people to learn from them and then listen to your body and figure what's right. Like I've been working out for the last 6 months with my trainer, who I have to give huge credit to. She told me it's going to be slow. You have to focus on long term, as you said. But I have that accountability because I know Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have to get up and show up. So as women, sometimes I feel that we are so hesitant to ask for help. But once you do, that will really help you because that accountability comes in. And I'm showing up every day. For the first time in my life on a holiday, I went to the gym in the morning because my trainer gave me do this workout. So we need to actually do it. Yeah.
Amazing. Like exactly for the first time, like when I went to Bangkok last week, was the first time that I ever worked out on a holiday. I had literally never done that before, which again goes back to show that It was a lifestyle change. Instead of forcing ourselves to do certain things, you build certain habits and you make certain choices to be able to live a good lifestyle. And I so agree with the thing about coaching is that, again, when I say that I'll be working out regularly, it's not because I certainly just have this motivation to kind of work out like 2-3 times a week. I also have a personal trainer who makes me show up. I went for online training, which is a lot more affordable, but still gives me the same kind of accountability that I'm looking for. So yes, I totally agree. Let's get help. But under the line of getting help, I feel getting help with fitness coaches and nutritionists is one part of it. But let's remember that most of us are not just struggling with how our body looks, but it's about how we feel about our body. I feel it is like no matter what size we live in, what body shape we live in, we will find a reason to criticize this. And the reason for that is because all of this lives inside our head. And if something is living inside our head and we are facing these like body image issues and they're stemming from our thoughts, the person that you need to seek help from is actually a therapist. This is something that I will tell moms is because, like I said earlier, most of us, when we have body image issues, they did not stem from pregnancy. They did not stem from the postpartum period. Most of us have body image issues that go way back. They started in our childhood. Somebody commenting on our weight, our height, our face, our hair, our skin color. These body image issues started way back when. It just happens to be that when we go through pregnancy, we go through so many physical changes as well that it only exacerbates it. It just really throws you off course. So let's say if you have worked for a couple of years at this point to be able to accept your body and be happy with it, and then you get pregnant, then you just kind of like gain all that weight, or you lose weight, let's say like you did in your pregnancy, Sanchita, what ends up happening is that it just really makes this thing the villain of it all. And you think that it was my pregnancy that made me go through these kind of mental health problems, when that was not the case. This problem was psychologically much more deep rooted than we make it out to be. And this is exactly where you need a therapist. A therapist is somebody who can give you that safe space to unpack all these feelings that you have about your body and help you gain more acceptance. I'm very open about the fact that I do personal therapy, we do couples therapy, and I think therapy is something that is viewed in such a negative light. Like it's almost like therapy is meant for cooks. No, it's not, right? Therapy is like what you're going through, who you're going to is kind of like a doctor for your brain, and they help you to untangle all these like mess of thoughts and feelings that you have inside your mind, and to be able to talk about things that you probably don't feel safe talking about with anybody else. Talking about your inner deepest feelings about how you feel about your body, how is it that you want to change how you feel about it. Therapy can provide you that space to do that. And it really helped me as well, because at one point I was too fat because I was binging. I had gained a lot of weight. I was binging snacks and this and that because of stress. I started attending therapy sessions, and that therapy session helped me cure the source of my stress. Understanding what is it that's causing that stress, that's causing me to binge on foods, and that ultimately helped in having a healthier body. And I feel it's things like that that will really help you. And I feel that all of us are so focused on improving our body on the outside, where a therapy session can be the most effective thing to feel better about our body on the inside. How you feel about it, how much you love it. And that would be my final tip to moms who are struggling with poor body image. They don't love themselves as much as they should. They're picking themselves apart every time they get in front of the mirror or on a photograph. Please try to follow these tips. And just to kind of summarize it for you, have more positive self-talk. Focus more over the function instead of the form and the appearance. Reframe how you talk about your body. Call your stretch marks your tiger stripes instead of thinking them as something that is negative. Focus on lifestyle changes instead of just weight loss. And last and very importantly, go to therapy. Find a good therapist and go to therapy and talk about these things, because there could be a lot of childhood trauma that you're probably dealing with on the inside that is causing these postpartum body image issues to be much bigger than they should be. So this is what we had to share with you. I'm so glad if you made it to the end of this episode. I would truly encourage you to send this episode to your mom groups. Let them listen to it, because trust me, no matter what size anybody's living in, they're all struggling with body image issues. And I know that you want to help your girlfriends love their bodies more than they do right now. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Mom Bod series. Don't forget to tune into that one, because we're going to be talking about all about postpartum health, diastasis recti, the mommy pooch, urinary incontinence, and many of these other very important topics that moms should know about after giving birth. Thanks so much, and see you in the next one.
Thank you, guys.